Celtics are going to try and stick it to him early, Dick, and bring it to him and get out in front as far out as possible, as quickly as possible.
And Boston controlling. The only game the Celtics lost was Game 3 here in Houston. Danny Ainge with his first shot of the game misses, knocked out of bounds. It's still Boston ball. Larry Bird, whose gutty three-point basket put the Celtics ahead to stay in game number 4. McHale guarded by Sampson. Spins around and the rebound. Both Towers had it. And here's Ralph.
Trying to push it at the defense, Dick.
They have the two Towers. Now Sampson coming up high. McRae moving outside, and here's Lewis Lloyd missing the shot. Lloyd complained, and he's had a dreadful series that he hasn't seen the ball early on. He did there. Dennis Johnson. McHale again. Short, good defense by Ralph Sampson. Here they go, push it up. Rodney McRae. Lloyd had a hand on it and keeps it.
But Olajuwon was steaming up in that fourth man spot.
And that's the point you illustrated at the top of the game. It was Sampson there, but it might as well be Olajuwon. Reed with his first shot. And the first points of the game belong to the Rockets.
Boston has not got off as smoothly as they would have liked.
McHale ties it up.
They've gone exclusively to McHale in that low post. The prior game it was Robert Parrish.
McRae stuffed in by Olajuwon. Hakeem Olajuwon, while he's had an overall solid series, has not matched the explosiveness of game 1 when he was terrific on the boards and scored 33.
Robert Reed made that hoop available for Olajuwon.
And traveling call. Right now, Ralph Sampson has been a defensive hero early. And the Rockets leading 4-2. Robert Reed, normally a forward, has had to play guard because of injuries to the point guard. Olajuwon's shot is blocked by Parrish, taken down by Ainge. Ainge going strong to the hoop and draws the foul.
I tell you, Casey Jones' strategy is to try and get to Larry Bird's more, but here is McRae beating Bird. It forces Parrish to have to go and cover, and that leaves Olajuwon going strong with Bird on his back. They can't allow McRae or anybody else to penetrate that much where Parrish has to switch.
There is Bill Fitch, who has a ring. And in one of those series when he coached the Celtics, he was trailing 3 games to 1. Foul was on Lloyd, 1 out of 2 on the free throws by Danny Ainge. Sampson. Easy shot, it seemed, for Ralph Sampson. We haven't seen him do that much this series.
Has not driven in prior games in that high post position.
Rockets by 3. Minute and a half gone by. Parrish with a pump and an air ball. There's McHale on the other side, and Kevin McHale has 4 points. Setting up in the half court now, looking for Hakeem. And Hakeem has 4 points.
When they push the ball up quickly, Olajuwon can get better low post position. It's tougher to double him also.
And the Celtics call for a 20-second timeout.
Little strong move by Ralph Sampson. Puts it in front of Parrish and angles into the hoop, and McHale cannot keep him off.
Tommy, as we take a look at the early shooting in this ball game, Casey calls a quick 20-second timeout with his team trailing by only 3. What do you think he'd be telling him now?
I think he's alerting them to the fact of the penetration, that they got to try and keep the Rockets out of the middle so that the big men of the Celtics, the McHales, the Parrishes, do not have to switch out and then turn loose the Sampsons and Olajuwons on the backboard.
Casey Jones was an assistant to Bill Fitch when Fitch was in Boston, and the relationship, frankly, was not ideal between the two.
Well, Casey was foisted on him, really, from a prior regime, and Bill kept him around. Casey thought maybe perhaps he should have been more involved, but Fitch didn't really involve him a lot.
McHale again. And that's a shooting foul. Robert Reed flexing his knee as it looks like McHale and Reed banged knees. It's a shooting foul against Reed. McHale will go to the line.
McHale, with not the real good low post position, he likes to be about 2 feet further down to his right, and he forces it, and there comes Reed in on the spin. So it looks like the Rockets prepared to double McHale in the low post.
Kevin McHale had 19 points on Tuesday night. That was only the second time in the playoffs that Kevin did not score 20 in a game. He has been a most consistent scorer for the Celtics.
He's had a tough man to try and shoot over, and Ralph Sampson being 7'4".
Rockets by 1. Little more than 3 minutes gone by here in the first period of game number 5. The Celtics lead 3 games to 1. Rockets trying to keep it alive and head to Boston. Sampson working inside. He took too many steps.
Better defense by Parrish that time on the clear out. He forced him wider than Sampson would have liked.
Lewis Lloyd, who's had his defensive problems with Dennis Johnson, staying with him close right now. Larry Bird hasn't handled the ball much. Takes his first shot and hits. So McHale has 6 of the Celtics points, and Bird is into the column now.
But he's only handled it once. That's not what Casey wanted. He wanted Bird to handle it a lot more.
Reed looking inside to Akeem. Doubled. And the ball does not drop for him. The rebound by Parrish. Outlet pass. Dennis Johnson over Lloyd. He's got it, and a foul. So Dennis Johnson continues to have a tremendous series. And it's now 11-8, and the foul is on Lloyd, his second foul.
I tell you, Lewis Lloyd has come out determined to play a little defense in this ball game, something that he's been taking a rap for in the prior games. He knows that Wiggins got the nod for defensive purposes. He wants to play a few minutes.
Tommy, a lot of people thought that Bill might go to the bench and start Wiggins in this ball game, but he's not going to upset the apple cart. He played only 12 minutes, did Lewis Lloyd, in the last game, and he's giving him a chance here. McRae's pass is out of bounds. Last touch by the Celtics, but that was a sloppy play by Houston.
They've got to watch their passing, Dick. The passing is not working whatsoever.
Well, Bill Fish wants to talk things over. The Celtics have scored 7 in a row to take a 4-point lead here in the first. We're in the first period of game number 5 of the NBA Finals. Dick Stockton and Tom Heinsohn here at the Summit in Houston, Texas, where the Celtics have scored 7 straight to take a 12-8 lead in a game in which they can wrap up their 16th world title. Larry Bird, their leader, Akeem Olajuwon. McHale has scored 6 and Akeem 4 in the early going. Tommy, we've had a couple of early timeouts here.
I think that Bill Fitch wants to keep his game under control, make sure that they don't throw the ball away. Their problem has been errant passes throughout most of this series.
Yet the turnovers are even numerically for each team through the first 4 games. Akeem finds Lloyd. Lloyd is doubled. Sampson. From the corner, Ralph Sampson, who has led the Rockets in scoring the last 2 games here at the Summit.
That was a nice pass by Lou Lloyd, who was more often than not prone to force a shot like that.
Reed knocked it out of bounds. Celtic ball. Robert Reed, who's been outspoken and has backed up his talk with fine play.
Robert Reed has been the inspirational leader on the court the last 2 games here.
McHale, fall-away shot. Rebound by Rodney McRae. Celtics with a 2-point lead. Houston looking to tie it. Ball knocked away by Dennis Johnson. Ainge and Johnson fast breaking in, and they don't get the break. That you rarely see the Celtics mess up on.
But Robert Reed forced that miss with some excellent defense.
Reed misses outside, and we'll have a foul, a loose ball foul, called against Larry Bird, his first. Tommy, Lewis Lloyd looks like, and Bill Fitch is trying to give him all the confidence in the world, still having problems handling the ball, it seems.
I think he has his eyes normally set on the rim, and when he can't do that, it changes his thinking on the game.
Sampson falling away under the crowd, misses, and now the Celtics have a 4-on-4. Kevin McHale down the middle, as he so often does, now has scored 8 of the Celtics' 14.
There you saw the Celtics big guys outdistancing Sampson and Olajuwon.
Sampson was falling away after that last shot. He couldn't get back in. Lloyd, high arcing shot. Inside, it's Sampson. They had both towers in there, and it was Ralph Sampson who scored and knocked McHale to the floor.
Well, there's that offensive rebounding coming into play once again, Dick. More of that, and the Rockets will win it.
Nearly halfway through this opening period. Celtics by 2, and Larry Bird gives them a 4-point lead. And Bill Fitch has gone to his bench and has asked Mitchell Wiggins to get ready to come back in this ball game or come in for the first time. Out of bounds, still Houston ball. And here is Mitchell Wiggins, who has been outstanding defensively, particularly on the boards. And Lewis Lloyd goes to the bench, still having his problem.
You know, Lewis Lloyd has it in his mind he has to hit the first shot in order for him to have a good ball game. He's got to get that out of his head if he's going to be a great basketball player.
Well, Wiggins hit his first shot, and he is a streak shooter. 16-14 Boston. McHale goes up and is fouled.
Going to see Ralph Sampson, who was immense in Game 4 on the offensive glass, just come inside here after Parrish mishandles it and then power it through. And McHale tried a little acting job, but the referees weren't baited.
Right now, it looks like Ralph Sampson is trying to bait Jack Madden and still talking with him as McHale goes to the line the first time that the Celtics. Houston has not been to the free throw line yet.
Tim McHale has been just about even Steven with the way Bill Fitch thought he would be in this series. Not really been a dominant figure, but very steady.
Celtics maintain a 4-point lead. Houston cuts it to 2. Boston moves ahead, and now Danny Ainge called for a block as he tried to get through Sampson to get to Reed.
Well, Danny Ainge says when somebody's going to pick me off, I'm running into him hard. Maybe the next time they won't be standing there.
Foul is on Ainge. Rockets have 14 fouls and the Celtics 2. 5:20 to go first period. Mitchell Wiggins hits again. We saw Wiggins get awfully hot against the Lakers, and when he does, he can light it up.
Well, he comes off the picks a lot better than Lloyd does. Has his rhythm very early in this game.
And he's really giving Dennis Johnson a lot of trouble out on top. Bird off a screen. Passes to Johnson, but a double dribble called against Larry Bird. Turns it over, and I think Mitchell Wiggins has ignited this team on both ends of the floor.
And he's going to do it primarily with that stiff defense on Dennis Johnson, bringing the ball up the court.
Here's Wiggins going for 3 in a row. Not this time. McHale beats Olajuwon to the ball, and here come the Celtics. Dennis Johnson going in, blocked by McRae. Tommy, we have seen Rodney McRae, an unsung star, block a lot of players' shots in this series.
I'll tell you, this is outstanding defense. He had 4 guys coming back on the break, and he made a beautiful block. He saved a sure 2.
And Sampson and McHale pushed each other momentarily, and they're going to break that one up before it gets into high gear. There they are.
Well, they've been fighting for position for 5 games now, and tempers do flare when you start leaning on each other.
4:35 to go opening period. Bird, McRae on him like glue. Harris over Olajuwon. Not a good shot. Good defense by the Rockets. Sampson all the way in. And it's blocked. Bird got a piece of that one. Ainge going back, and they're going to call Robert Reed with a blocking foul, and that'll be his second personal.
I'll tell you, Ralph Sampson has got that great dribbling ability, but he takes it strong, and you just watch Danny Ainge come from behind and pick it off. I mean, that's a real cute play. And Sampson said, boy, I should have had that one.
So Ainge is on the line after the second foul by Reed, and here is Bill Walton, who won an NBA title 9 years ago to this day with the Portland Trail Blazers. And if he can win tonight, this would have to be his favorite day of all time.
I'll tell you, he had a big hand in it with that offensive rebound the other night.
That cinched it for the Celtics. He's had a fine series. Rebounding, defense, scoring. Reed misses. Bird. And Wiggins knocks it away. Dennis Johnson has it. Under 4 minutes to go in the first.
I'll tell you, the difference in the two fast breaks is how quickly Boston gets the outlet pass out.
Walton has a shot blocked by Akeem. But another turnover as Ainge picks it off. And they're going to blow the whistle. A foul is on Dennis Johnson and Casey Jones. You can always see him with a furrowed brow, even though he never really gets too angry out there. Celtics by 4. And a very good first period. Had a lot of turnovers, but the play is intense. Akeem from Ralph, who's pushed. Dick Stockton and Tom Heinsohn, Brent Musburger, Pat O'Brien, and Dave Cowens here tonight at the Summit in Houston, Texas for Game 5, 16,016. And the Rocket fans haven't thrown in the white towel, and from the looks of things, Tommy, neither have the Rockets. Last foul was on McHale. Akeem. And there's Walton fighting, losing the ball, and on the line was Wiggins, turns it over.
That is the man that is driving Casey Jones crazy on the offensive glass. Mitchell Wiggins, nobody can keep him off. Dennis Johnson has been losing his concentration on him.
He's only 6'4", only we say, but a lot of times he says they forget about the little guys getting inside. Ainge going for a 3, short with it. Parrish, by the way, who's not in the game yet now, hasn't scored for the Celtics. He did not play in the final moments when Walton was in there. Sampson over Walton. Not much big redhead could do with that.
Walton gives up the low post position to Sampson a lot easier than Parrish.
Walton comes right back. And Tommy, you constantly talk about the fast break, and the Celtics did it there after a made basket.
That's how quickly they advanced the ball with a pass.
Celtics by 4. That's been a familiar refrain this first period. McRae. And a Boston foul, and that will put him in the penalty. The Rockets will shoot 2, and Danny Ainge has picked up his second personal foul. 2:28 to go in the opening period. Boston is up.
The Celtics have really been doubling down on the low post. A guy like Bill Walton will come over and double team here. When he does that, it ends up 2 guys having to defend against 1 man here, 1 man there, and 1 man there against for the rebound. They got 3-on-2 rebounding problems. You watch Dennis Johnson step up and take the bigger Ralph Sampson, but the aggressive Mitchell Wiggins is still underneath the basket, and he comes up with it. Even though he loses it out of bounds, he's making the best of the opportunity underneath the hoop. I'll tell you, that has been really hurting Boston badly. They may have to adjust that double, triple teaming of the low post game.
And the Rockets, who had those 25 offensive rebounds in game number 4, have the edge once again. And Rodney McRae will go to the line and shoot.
Well, when that happens, Dick, triple teaming and double teaming, it's turning 1 guy loose on the weak side of the court for the rebound. And when Peterson got into the game the other day, he made it pay. And Wiggins is doing the same thing.
Will try to bring the Rockets to within 2. Not demonstrative by any means is Rodney McRae, but how effective he has been. It's a 22-20 game. McRae with his first 2 points of the ball game. Both teams shooting under 45%. Ainge. 11 seconds. Sampson caused that turnover, and it's a 3-on-2 Houston break. Wiggins going in, tipped away, and the Rockets missed a 3-on-2 opportunity. Danny Ainge comes right back and banks it in. So there was 2 points lost on one end, and the Celtics are up by 4 again.
But Sampson and Olajuwon were flying in for that rebound, but they didn't carve enough room out for themselves for the offensive board.
Akeem outside. Ainge and McHale with it. Bill Fitch is yelling for an illegal defense call. Reed fires long range, but there's Wiggins, no basket. Wiggins was there, he put it in, but it was after the 24-second clock had expired, and Bill Fitch is really mad. He says it touched the rim before 24 seconds elapsed. And they're going to count it. That's exactly what happened.
Casey's upset now, saying you blew the whistle. Let's see it. If it hit the rim here, it looks like it's long and hit the backboard. But if the whistle went off, time should have been called, and the Rockets should have gotten the ball, not the basket. Never hit the rim.
Bird fighting through McRae. Larry Bird, who was the MVP of the playoffs 2 years ago when the Celtics beat the Lakers.
Really forcing him a lot to his left hand.
Rockets swinging the ball. And they're going to call Walton for the foul on Ralph Sampson.
Here's a Bird dipsy-do. He likes to play on this side of the court, but usually he can get a right-hand shot off there, attacking his right hand, forcing him to his left. He can shoot lefty, but he'd much prefer to shoot righty.
So here's Ralph Sampson on the free throw line. He was much better in the last game than he had been previously. Up to 70% from the free throw line as he hits the first free throw. Robert Parrish, who has not scored, has replaced Kevin McHale, who is the Celtic and game scoring leader with 10 points. So once again, McHale comes out strong. The only game he really didn't, Tommy, was in Game 2 in Boston when it took him a while to get cooking.
This is the version the Celtics have of Twin Towers, Parrish and Walton. They hope to contain the Rockets on the glass.
Celtics by 2. Lead is wavered between 4 and 2 points. And it's people like Larry Bird, who's 4 for 4 now. Perfect game from the field gives the Celtics that 4-point lead again. Olajuwon fighting for the loose ball, and he lost it thanks to Larry Bird.
Boy, they're just surrounding him like it's a bear going to honey.
Wiggins tipped the ball, and Reed tried to save it, and it should be Celtics ball, and it is. 42 seconds remaining in the first period. And Tommy, off the first period, it does not look as if the Rockets are playing on emotion alone. They're playing as solidly as they have the last 2.
They got that fast break pace going, and they're trying to use it not quite as effectively as they would like, however.
Sampson pushing it up. They look at the clock. 30 seconds. 15 now on the shot clock. They go again to Akeem. And Akeem with a very tough baseline fall-away shot with Parrish in his face. Now has 6. Again, it's 2, and Boston playing for the last chance. Reed is on Ainge. Inside, Walton with a fall away. Wiggins, 1 second, and that'll do it. That's the end of the first period with the score. The Celtics 28, the Rockets 26. We'll return to the Summit in Houston after this word from your local station. It's a beautiful sky right now as you look live in Houston, Texas to the Transco Tower Fountain. That's about 5 miles from here. And here is the Summit in Houston, Texas, where all of Houston is banded behind their Rockets in the 1986 NBA Finals. Here on CBS, game number 5. The Celtics leading 3 games to 1 will try to wrap it up and win their 16th world title. They won their 14th championship right here in Houston in 1981 against these Rockets in a 6-game series, and we'll try to wrap up another one here tonight. But Tommy, off the top of this game, even though the Houston Rockets aren't running the way you say they should run, they're very much in the game, but you're right, they haven't made the most of their opportunities.
They had 11 fast break opportunities, Dick, in that quarter, and only converted on 1. They'd be leading in this ball game significantly if they used it a little bit more effectively.
Top scorers, Jerry Seasting, by the way, has replaced Danny Ainge. Once again, we tell you that Ainge has had an intestinal problem, so Seasting is in there early. Wiggins shooting over Dennis Johnson and hits, and the Rockets have tied the game. Wiggins has scored 8 points since coming in for Lou Lloyd.
And this is the most important part of what Wiggins is going to do, is get out there and make Dennis Johnson waste some time in the backcourt before the Celtics can get their set offense going.
Once again, we'll have the mismatch in size as Larry Bird hits a three-point shot. Larry Bird, whose three-pointer put the Celts in front to stay and broke the backs of the Rockets, has 11 now in the game. But now we have Seasting 6'1", guarding Reed at 6'8".
And that always is a difficult problem for the Celtics. Seasting has to get up close on Reed and use his speed against Reed's size.
Sampson in a double, finds a way out, and slams it through for his 12th point of the ball game.
What a move by Sampson.
Seasting, a great shooter from the outside during the regular year. Walton powers his way in. Olajuwon blocks it, and Walton, second effort, pays off for his 4th point. Tommy, why doesn't Reed post up Seasting more?
Because they've got the Twin Towers. They don't need 3 guys trying to get in that low post.
Right now they post up McCray against Bird, and Olajuwon has a simple shot in the lane, and Hakeem has 8.
Well, Parrish had backed off to try and protect the middle, and that gave Olajuwon the easy one.
Celtics continue to go with their version of the Towers, as you mentioned, Walton and Parrish, and they're going to call Wiggins with the pushing foul, his first.
You know, if Wiggins can hold Dennis Johnson, make him use 8 seconds or so in the backcourt, that allows the Celtics less time to work their good offense.
What a pass, Walton over his head to Bird, and Parrish takes too many steps. But that was one of those scintillating passing combinations we have seen Walton and Bird teamed up for the first time this year do. Wiggins driving. Walton lost it. Olajuwon gets it. We're back here at the Summit in Houston, Texas. More than just a game. 35-33, the Rockets lead the Celtics. We have had a full-fledged fight here break out between Ralph Sampson and Jerry Seasting. Punches were thrown, blood was drawn in the head of Dennis Johnson, and Ralph Sampson was thrown out of the ball game. And Tommy, I know you explained and will about Ralph Sampson having to learn to control himself, and you're right. The question is, what is it all about when whatever the skirmish is, a 6'1" backup guard gets one of the stars of the other club thrown out of the ball game?
Well, the referee threw Ralph Sampson out, and he saw the first punch, Ralph Sampson throwing it. I think the officials right now have done a masterful job of trying to cool this thing down so that the rest of the game can go on. It's unfortunate that Sampson's not going to be part of it because the Rockets really needed him.
I think in a World Championship series with so much at stake, even though he threw the first punch, and that Ralph, of course, says otherwise, I don't think you throw out a guy. You may warn him, you may give him a technical, you may tell Fitch to take him out of the game. I don't think you throw out a guy in a World Championship series after that kind of an incident.
Well, that's what you think. I disagree.
All right, Tommy. That's what this country's all about, right?
Are you a Republican or a Democrat?
I'm a basketball fan like you. 9:20 to go in the first half. 35-33, and traveling is called. So let's see if we can get back into this game. Rockets by 2. And we'll see what kind of an effect it has. Ball knocked away. Peterson and Wiggins combined on McHale. McCray going up, banks it in, and the Rockets lead by 4.
You know, what you got to be careful of right now is the officiating. Sometimes the officials will lean to the side of the Rockets, you know, subconsciously that Sampson's out of the game.
And maybe the Rockets will play better because Sampson's out of the game. As the shot is blocked by Hakeem, Seasting throws the ball away. Here's Wiggins and McCray. Back to Peterson. And I think the Rockets are playing better without Sampson, at least right now.
They are going to be sky high. They have reached down. The extra motion, perhaps, to win this game provided by Ralph Sampson in that fight for the Rockets.
It is a 37-33 game. Houston is leading. Seasting will go out of the game to the boos of the crowd. Kind of mild to what we might expect in some other cities, Tom.
Well, the fans very, very upset here, of course. They have big guy out. The Rockets right now, the prime threat will be Olajuwon.
Hakeem goes up and is fouled. That is the first team foul on the Celtics in the second period. Peterson had replaced Sampson, and Bill Walton not at all pleased with that call. That is his second personal foul, and there's Robert Parrish, who has yet to score, getting set to come back in.
Well, Danny Ainge will be very, very important for the Celtics defensively in trying to contain Olajuwon. They have triple teamed in him, and Danny Ainge has been the key player, cutting off the middle move. His drop-off read has enabled him to quickly get down and cut off the lane. Olajuwon going to be the man that has to take him to the promised land.
But Peterson has given the Rockets what they've needed off the bench with solid defense and rebounding. He's not been an offensive threat, but he's going to have to play a lot bigger role than he anticipated. Parrish misses the ball away, and Hakeem gets the rebound. 8:05 to go in the first half. Olajuwon, double team, triple team, and scores anyway. He has 14 points. 11 in a row run off by the Rockets. Tommy, the biggest lead they've had in this series is 9 points. They lead by 8. Timeout. Well, I'm anxious to know what kind of a view Brent Musburger and Dave Cowens had of the skirmish we had. Brent, back up to you.
All right, Dick, and of course, Big Dave led the Celtics to 2 of their 15 world titles. We were watching a basketball game. The violence breaks out. What's your stand on Ralph Sampson? Should he have been thrown out or left in this game?
Well, from our angle, it was obvious that Ralph threw the punch and hit Jerry Seasting twice, and then he hit Dennis Johnson before anybody ever hit him. So I think it looked to me like he initiated everything. It was an obvious, the referee put his hand up right away, so he has to go.
All right. I'll tell you another thing, Dick and Tommy. Sometimes a team will rally around themselves when this happens. Look out for the Rockets. They could turn this place on fire right now. Let's go down to Dick and Tommy.
You're absolutely right, Brent. The score was 34-33 Houston when Sampson got ejected, and the Celtics have not scored since, but you just saw the face of a guy who's not going to keep the Celtics in arrears for long.
I'll tell you, there was not too much fire in their eyes at practice yesterday, but after that fight, there sure is now.
And they're going to call the Houston foul on Peterson, his first personal foul. 41-33 the Rockets, 7:46 to go. Again, we wonder about playing on emotion versus settling down and playing a solid ball, so we'll see which is which for Houston. Bird, great pass into Parrish, and he's fouled going up. Wiggins, his second personal foul, and Bird with another one of his superlative tosses inside.
Let me tell you how difficult it is for a referee to officiate in a situation like this. The crowd is going to be totally against everything the official calls. And there's a tendency, unless he's a real good official, to swing with the crowd. I've seen it happen a couple of times, and even the best of them can be swayed. I think right now the officials have got their feet back underneath them.
Parrish with his first 2 points of the game, and they come with 7:35 remaining in the first half. The Rockets by 6. Wiggins. Mitchell Wiggins, 10 points. That's more than his series average.
Jay Wiggins has just been outstanding.
McHale working against Peterson. He's short, and the rebound by Olajuwon. 6 rebounds for Hakeem. McCray finds Wiggins. McHale, good outlet to Bird, knocked away by Robert Reed, and he prevented 2 points there.
Not enough stuff on the outlet pass, but Celtics with the right idea.
Into Parrish against Hakeem. And McCray the rebound. Rockets playing very well defensively inside right now. Olajuwon. Short, tapped away by McHale. And discontinued. Parrish picked up his own dribble, and Casey Jones just walks away. And he wants Walton back in the game. Robert Parrish will be likely coming out here, and the rebounding story, Houston has the lead.
Well, Parrish has not hit the shots, and that's what Casey wanted from him. They're going to try and get it out of Walton.
Peterson driving in. Dennis Johnson controls. He's got the bandage on left eye, and he's got blood on his jersey after he was hit by a Ralph Sampson punch. Illegal defense called against the Rockets. Tommy, the Celtics have not scored a basket in nearly 4.5 minutes.
Well, that's what that emotion from the fight with Sampson going out has produced. Very aggressive, jumping, leaping play by the Rockets.
McHale, no baseline thanks to Peterson. Dennis Johnson trying to penetrate. And Dennis Johnson comes out of the pack again. What a warrior he is. Going in on Wiggins, blocked by Olajuwon. Goaltending called as Akeem blocked it against the glass. Give the basket to hard-working Dennis Johnson.
Akeem either trapped it on the glass or hit it after it touched the glass. That's goaltending.
5:45 remaining in the first half. McRae. Rodney McRae with 6. The leading scorer is Olajuwon with 14 for Houston. Ralph Sampson was ejected after he scored 12 with 3 rebounds. Sampson went out with 9:40 remaining here in the half. 5:20. Bird fall away, and there's Reed. Outlets to Wiggins. Wiggins lost the dribble. And a foul on Dennis Johnson. Houston has missed just 3 of 11. Celtics struggling from the field this period.
Rockets playing outstanding defense right now. The last trip up the court against Bird, they waited till the last instant to double him and put him under the gun to take a tough shot.
3 fouls now on Dennis Johnson with 5:07 to go in the first half. You saw Seasting getting set to come back in. They double Akeem. Reed gets a step on Ainge. Fires it in off the glass. And the Rockets have the biggest lead they've enjoyed in the 1986 NBA Finals, 10 points. Their biggest lead previously was 9 points in the second period of Game 2. 8-point Rocket lead, 4:35 to go, and Olajuwon comes back. And again it's 10.
Boy, when they push it up, Olajuwon's a different ball player on the boards.
Dennis Johnson in and out. Bird fighting off the glass, and Reed has it. And here come the Rockets breaking again. McRae. And McHale and Walton were there. And a Celtic foul.
We're going to see Houston with Olajuwon storming up the court. They move it out quickly, even after a made, which we haven't seen an awful lot. But look at the pass up the court, strong to the hoop, and here's Olajuwon right there, quick for the stuff.
Foul is on McHale, his second.
I mean, he was talking an awful lot yesterday, but look at Robert Reed saying, we want to win this game. I don't want to leave our fans who have treated us so well this year with a loss.
And the Rockets have also treated the fans very well. As McRae missed the first free throw, they lost only 6 games this year, 2 of them to the Celtics. And Houston 8-1 in the playoffs at home. And McRae will try to give the Rockets an 11-point lead now. 4:16 to go in the half. Ralph Sampson ejected from the game, and the Rockets will have to go the route without him.
I'll tell you, this man, Rodney McRae, has been outstanding. Hasn't said much. Nobody talking about him too much. But what a job he's done on the boards and in helping to defend against Bird.
Here's Ainge. And Danny Ainge hits. 7 points for Ainge. 9-point Houston lead. 4 minutes remaining now in the first half. Olajuwon again working against Walton. There's Peterson with the offensive rebound and the basket, and he got in on McHale that time.
He has been outstanding this whole series, Dick. Jim Peterson on the board.
Timeout, Boston.
You watch Jim Peterson right here. He's going to be a key man as Kevin McHale goes over to double. He's going to slide in for the rebound. Nobody is blocking him off. That's what the Rockets are taking advantage of. 3-on-2 rebounding on the weak side. As Danny Ainge, who doesn't block him out. Kevin McHale, who doesn't get to him quick enough, and he's in there all by himself. Somebody has got to go pick up those people as they're coming to the glass. But when they double, there's only 2 Celtics to block out 3 Rockets.
Peterson, Jim Peterson, has again come in and made an impact in this game. He's had to play with Sampson ejected. And I'll tell you, Tommy, that Walton has done a marvelous job for the Celtics off the bench, but Wiggins and Peterson have kept the Rockets alive to this point. Walton and Olajuwon, the 2 centers. McHale up on high. Spinning up. Tipped up. Walton banging the boards. The rebound by Reed with 3.5 to go. Wiggins. Biggest lead for the Rockets. The 11-point margin they have now. Redirecting traffic. Celtics have 1 foul to give.
But I'll tell you, the Rockets are ready to push it up at every opportunity, something that they were not able to sustain in the other game.
Olajuwon, air ball as the 24-second buzzer sounds, and it'll be Celtics ball. Boston with good defense, and once they saw the Rockets go into half court, they clamped up. Really tightened things up there. 3 minutes to go in the first half.
I tell you, the longer that takes to get the ball into the hands of Larry Bird, the less options he has to score.
Here's Bird, missing. Rebound Peterson. Bird has 11 points, only 3 this period on the 3-point shot. Wiggins banks it in. 12 points in the game for Mitchell Wiggins.
A fast break is humming for the Rockets.
That's what you said at the outset. In fact, in the beginning, you said that may be the only way they can win. 2.5 now in the half. McHale and Walton is there. No basket. A foul on the Rockets before the shot. It'll be Peterson, his 2nd personal foul. We have had a wild game here in Houston in Game 5 at the Summit, with the Celtics leading 3-1 and prepared to wrap things up. They're trailing the Rockets 54-41 in a game featuring a fistfight in which Ralph Sampson was thrown out with 9:40 remaining in this half after punching Jerry Seasting. The two had been jostling in a couple of occasions, but Sampson made the definite punch on Seasting and then hit Dennis Johnson and drew blood. 1 out of 2 for McHale.
Boston is not getting good shots in this quarter, mainly because of the aggressive defense of the Rockets.
Hakeem. Walton gets a piece of it. And Bird gets it into the hands of Seasting to Ainge. Pulls up over Reed, and Danny Ainge now starting to hum. Has 9 points. And the lead is 10. And the Rockets want a timeout right now. They have outscored the Celtics 20-11 since they lost Ralph Sampson. If there is a Game 6, we will be there. Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, back at Boston Garden. Rockets and Celtics, and the Celtics were impressive in winning 2 games handily to take a 2-0 lead in the series before the Rockets won a thriller Sunday in Game 3, and then the Celtics won a game that was equally thrilling to make it 3-1.
As the fast break in this quarter, 6 for 8, 1 for 3 for Boston. Very big, but you know something, Dick? The emotion of getting even for Ralph Sampson very much more evident in the Rockets' psyche right now. They're not even thinking of going to Boston. They want to win this one for Ralph Sampson, who got upset in this game.
And we said at the outset that when you talk about having to win 3 games, no one has come back from a 3-1 deficit to win a world championship. I think if the Rockets think of winning 3, that may be too much. But to say, let's win this game, and now they have another reason to win this game, well, then it goes to Boston, and they see what happens. What did Bill Fitch say about 4 the hard way?
4 the hard way, yeah. I'll tell you, though, a key guy for the Rockets down the stretch is going to be Peterson or Granville Waiters or McDowell. Olajuwon's going to need some rest, and so will Peterson.
Olajuwon hasn't been on the bench yet in this game with 1:50 to go in the first half. Peterson, blocked by McHale, gets the rebound. Loose ball, and there's Seaston, smallest man on the court, who winds up with it and pushing it up. Ainge has been hot. Misses there on an air ball. Rockets coming back 3-on-2. Peterson pulls up against Walton, and will have a foul called against the Houston Rockets the other way. A loose ball foul.
I'll tell you, that was one gutsy block out by Danny Ainge because Olajuwon was storming down the court for the offensive rebound.
Foul is on Olajuwon. That is his first personal foul. He has scored 16 points and has 7 rebounds, and will have to be the big man inside for the Rockets.
Technical on Olajuwon.
Well, you can give the same speech about Ralph Sampson's temper, and you can do the same for Hakeem, who had been tossed out of 2 games in the playoffs so far.
Well, he came hard on the board. It was only 1 foul. He knocked Ainge off the court. Might have been a little acting involved, but he still banged him. And then to get a technical to boot, you got to pick your spots. That's experience,
Well, it is. And this Rocket team doesn't have that experience, at least not as far as Sampson and Olajuwon are concerned.
There's ways to talk to referees. There's ways to talk to referees. And you still never win.
No one ever has. So the Rocket lead is cut to 7. It was 13. Wiggins going in, uses his body well, gets the basket and draws the foul.
What great offense that time by the Rockets. They double-teamed, triple-teamed Olajuwon. He found the open man, and Wiggins was wide open. But watch now, Bird has to rush at him, and in so doing, allows Wiggins to drive to the hoop, and he gets fouled, and he puts it in. What a move.
And Bill Walton is the man guilty of the foul. So Walton has 3, so does Dennis Johnson for the Celtics. No one with 3 fouls on the Rockets, but they don't have Sampson anymore. Wiggins misses the free throw, and it's 56-47 in favor of Houston, winding down to a minute to go in the first half. McHale, Bird, and Parrish are 1 for 10 between them this period. There's Seasting. Olajuwon, the rebound out of the sandwich that Walton and McHale present. McCray going up and lays it in.
Quick outlet pass, a little quicker, they would have had a 3-on-1. They end up with a 2-on-1.
You watch the time remaining in the first half. 14 on the shot clock for the Celtics. Walton. Ainge. And a jumper for Walton. Olajuwon gets another one and throws it away. He was looking for Wiggins down court, and the Celtics were chasing him. And Danny Ainge is taking a breather. And a 5-second violation, and now called by Evans. Called by Jack Madden. Now Evans is talking to Madden.
They were wiping up the perspiration from the floor, and Jack Madden went off with the 5 count while Hugh Evans had held up play.
So they got it straightened out, and the Celtics still have it with 21 seconds remaining in the half. 11-point lead for Houston. And the pass thrown away by Seaston. Now with 10 seconds, Reed, who has 13 assists this half, finds McCray. The buzzer sounds, no basket. It's been a wild game here in Houston, where the Rockets have their backs to the wall. But they have come out strong, and after losing Ralph Sampson, have opened up an 11-point lead over the Boston Celtics. Here we are at halftime, and the shooting statistics. Houston 50% more than what they've shot in the series, and the Celtics, with the front court shooting only 30%, are way down. Rebounds, big edge to Houston, particularly a 2-to-1 edge off the offensive glass. And the front line scoring shows an edge to Houston, despite the fact that Ralph Sampson, with 12 points, was ejected after playing 14 minutes. Now, the obvious question, the Houston emotion was apparent in the late stages of the second period. Where do they go from here?
Well, it might be very difficult to keep that emotion up, but that's what they need to keep the pace of the game that they had in the second quarter without making a lot of turnovers. They have not done that in the past. Maybe they will here.
And Robert Reed with the ball, and he set a record for one half in the championship series with 13 assists. Robert Reed, not known as a playmaker, forced to play in the backcourt. Takes the shot, misses, and the rebound inside taken down by the Celtics. Keep in mind, the third period has been the Celtics period most of the series.
And the Celtics just trying to slow it down and cool the tempo down.
And the Rockets have to do the opposite, I would assume. 11-point lead for Houston. Ainge driving around Reed. Stepped on the line and turns it over. Leading scorers in the game for the Celtics. Ainge has 12 to lead Boston. Olajuwon with 16. He tops the Rockets.
Boston has to get the ball over the 10-second line quicker than they're doing so that they can move the ball around, get that good passing working for them.
Rockets turned the ball over a lot in the third period early on. Lloyd starting out this half. This is inside. So Bill Fitch going with his starting guard Lloyd, even though Wiggins had a tremendous first half with 14 points in 18 minutes. Ainge driving around Reed, good first step, but he lost the ball. Peterson saves to Reed. Lloyd in the open court where he likes to play, and Louis Lloyd gets his first basket of the ball game, and he's got to breathe a bit easier now.
Well, with the pace of the game the way it was in the first half, if he gets on the front end of the fast break, watch out.
And watch for Bill Walton as he takes off the warm-up suit, and he's getting set to come back in the ball game. Walton played more than Parrish in the first half for the Celtics. Bird trying to work in on McRae, and McRae commits the foul.
Here's Peterson's hustle, and it leads to a basket up the other end. The Rockets pushing it fast. There's Lloyd already out in front, one-on-one against Dennis Reed, and here comes Bird, not in time enough.
Walton comes in, McHale with a layup inside. So now with Ainge going out, Walton and Parrish and McHale are all in there, plus Bird. Bird now plays the backcourt with Dennis Johnson. A move that KC used in the last game. Robert Reed, two-point attempt misses, gets his own rebound, and misses again. Tipped in by Peterson. There's that man again.
I'll tell you, he is really spreading out, creating room for the rebound. When the Celtics are trying to block him out, they're having trouble.
Bird inside to McHale. McHale quickly catches it and gets it in there.
Do they take advantage of mismatches, the Celtics? As soon as they catch McHale on a smaller player, he gets the ball.
So the Celtics going with Bird in the backcourt and big men up front. Timeout called by Houston here in the third period.
To the right of your screen, you're going to see Robert Parrish try to block out Jim Peterson. He thinks he's got him, and as Peterson just keeps going, steps inside Parrish, creates enough room for himself, even on the nudge, to get back in and tip it in. So Parrish has got to hold the block a lot longer than he's doing.
Big offensive rebounding edge to the Rockets, who lead it 62-51. McRae bringing the ball up. The point forward. Reed guarded now by Bird. They look for Olajuwon. Good defense by Walton. And a basket good and a foul. Well, Walton was right over one shoulder, and they got the ball in anyway, and Olajuwon with good quickness.
Let me tell you, Dick, with Danny Ainge being on the bench right now and Bird in the backcourt, they're having trouble taking in the middle away because Bird or McHale doesn't get down there quick enough, and he's going to be wheeling and dealing to the middle a lot more with Ainge on the bench.
Three-point play by Olajuwon. That was Walton's fourth personal foul. Parrish has not given him much tonight. He is 0 for 4 from the field, has scored 2 points. He's in there now, but Walton with 4 fouls knocks Lloyd into a pick. with a 14-point Rocket lead. Biggest lead. And Lloyd gets it away from Dennis Johnson. McRae against Bird. Goes right by him. Right now, the third period belongs to Houston, which is a reversal of things. And another steal. Peterson.
And they're doing it with defense stick, something that they were not able to do. Boston was doing it in the third quarter in the other games.
Olajuwon picks up the loose ball. Peterson bangs it up. Here's Akeem. Oh, they're scrapping inside and outside. And they're doing it without Ralph Sampson. Lloyd. Out of bounds, Houston ball.
I'll tell you, Robert Parrish is really having trouble blocking anybody out tonight. That time Olajuwon almost got another offensive rebound, much like Peterson.
16-point Houston lead. And Parrish got a piece of that shot by Olajuwon. So Robert Parrish, the Chief, comes right back. They want to get him underway offensively. Over McRae hits and Parrish with 4 points, and that's his first basket of the game.
Well, with Bird in that lineup and all the other three big guys, they're going to try and control the boards, the Celtics, right now, and they're not being able to do it.
Bird has scored 11 points, had only 3 in the second period. Reed. 5 on the shot clock. Again, it's a 16-point Houston lead.
Houston has taken the challenge. The extra adrenaline with Sampson getting thrown out is still here in the third quarter.
Bird is fouled. Going up for the shot, Larry Bird. And Robert Reed with 3 personal fouls. Danny Ainge comes back in the game, and Bill Walton goes out with 4 fouls for the Celtics. The third period has been a Celtic period throughout the series, but Houston's playing their best right now.
Now you're going to see it, Boston outdoing Houston, but the third period, Boston has played the tougher defense and has managed to come up with loose balls and turnovers by the Rockets. Conversely, here today, the Rockets are getting very, very aggressive. They say, we've got nothing to lose. We're going to slash, and we're going after everything. If we foul out, so what? It's vacation time if we don't win.
Lloyd. To Peterson. Robert Reed, top of the key. Hits again. 2 in a row for Reed. Rockets 71, Celtics 55. 7 minutes to go, third period. Lloyd is all over Dennis Johnson. Bird going in. Peterson blocks it out of bounds.
Bird is going to take Robert Reed in the low post anytime he can, but all that dribbling, he had 3 guys around him when he turned around to take the shot.
A live look at the Houston skyline, quiet right now, but let's go back to April the 6th. When Jean-Michel Jarre, known for the great fireworks and laser shows, lit up the skyline of Houston this way. Several million people witnessed this spectacular display. Tommy Heinsohn, we have seen fireworks of a different sort tonight inside the Summit in Houston, Texas for the 1986 NBA Finals game number 5 between the Celtics and the Rockets. Celtics leading 3-1, Rockets leading 71-55, and a fight in the first half with Ralph Sampson being ejected.
But that is what has created the needed adrenaline push to really get the Rockets going. They're playing like a team possessed.
Bird, McRae all over him, trying to get free. Bird hits the shot on the run with Rockets in his face. 15 for Bird.
The Rockets have to play smart here right now. Keep running, don't slow it down. They have a tendency, maybe to slow it down and let the Celtics half-court defense come into play more and more.
Reed, he's been hot outside. Tipped up by Peterson. McRae to Lloyd. Lloyd. Loose ball. Rockets still have it in Akeem. Peterson fights, and the Rockets are enraged. They are fighting for everything. Boston ball, but did you see Houston off that glass?
I'll tell you, Peterson is not going to be denied. He is so aggressive tonight. His willpower is blowing by McHale and Parrish.
Nearly halfway through this third period. Bird. And Peterson gets another rebound. He has 8 rebounds in this game, but the Celtics get it back. Parrish with a fake. And Peterson saves it beautifully to Reed. Lloyd. Olajuwon trailing. 21 for Akeem.
Has that speed in evidence once again. Parrish and McHale both too tired to hustle back.
5.5 remaining in the third. Parrish no good. And it's Rockets ball. Jim Peterson had 9 rebounds. As Walton comes in for Parrish in game number 4, he already has 9 tonight. (73-57) Houston, and Johnson knocks that pass by Lloyd. And they're going to call Lewis Lloyd with the personal foul, 3rd team foul on Houston. What hustle by Peterson?
We're going to see Jim Peterson to create a great situation, saves it from going out of bounds, and up come the Rockets on the fast break, and Akeem beat everybody down to make that hoop. So Peterson doing all he can.
Mitchell Wiggins comes in for Lewis Lloyd, who played his best ball of a disappointing series in the first few minutes here of this third period.
Well, it just goes to show you, when they're running, Lewis Lloyd is a dynamite player.
Wiggins, 14 points in the game. Dennis Johnson hits the jumper. You want to talk about guys that'll get you the tough points and not afraid to shoot under pressure. Dennis Johnson is the man. Akeem, wild shot. Bird the rebound, but there's a foul against the Celtics. Kevin McHale picks up his third.
Well, you're going to see, McHale really blocking out Jim Peterson. Jim Peterson, very, very aggressive. McHale trying extra hard to make sure he held the block. An extra count got called for a foul.
Reed gets McHale in the air, misses the shot. Walton into the hands of Dennis Johnson. 14-point lead for Houston. 4.5 to play in the third. Dennis Johnson tipped up and in by Walton. No basket. Offensive interference by Walton.
We're going to see Dennis Johnson. He tried to create an offensive rebound. Olajuwon goes for the block. It sure looked like it was way off to me.
Should have been good basket, no question about it. That ball was at least 6 or 7 inches off the rim. Reed goes out. Listen to the hand. 13 first-half assists. Set an NBA Championship Series record, and Allen Level replaces him. His job to push it up, play tight defense. Now Reed has to stay in right now. No substitution allowed on that play as you look at the foul trouble for both teams. Walton, the only man with 4. Wiggins. Johnson with terrific defense. There's Peterson with another rebound. Peterson up. And the foul will be against the Rockets, a loose ball foul.
We're going to see Wiggins and Bird underneath. A little pick here, and Wiggins throwing Bird off the court. I mean to tell you, that's what goes on when you're watching the basketball, folks.
Level has come into the ball game. Reed getting a breather. Bird picked up by Wiggins on a switch. McCray guarding Dennis Johnson. Olajuwon was there, and there's McHale with the offensive rebound in the basket. Wiggins and Bird going at each other in each other's jersey. Wiggins guarding, or Bird is guarding McCray, but Wiggins will be on Bird at the other end. Level. Allen level with his first basket.
Big hoop for Level. That's going to make the Celtics think twice about doubling Olajuwon if Level can keep hitting that shot.
3 minutes, 10 seconds to go, third period. Ainge hits from long range, and Danny Ainge has 14 points in the game.
But as Peterson working McHale.
Ray goes in for the layup on the fast break.
Quick inbound. Get it up fast. The Rockets have got it tuned up.
After a made basket, that was. McRae poking in, committing the foul.
I'll tell you, McRae is playing him more straight away. It's more difficult for Larry Bird to spin to the basket the way McRae's playing him right now. We're going to see what was so important for the Rockets to get that speed into the lineup. Look at what happens even after a made basket. The long pass up the court immediately has pressure on the slowest Celtic players. That has always been the advantage of the Rockets, the quicker feet by all 5 players.
In the second period, we had a skirmish, a fight, punches were thrown. Ralph Sampson was ejected for punching Jerry Seasting with 9:40 remaining in the second period. The Rockets were leading by 1 point at that time, and they have been ignited. They led at halftime 58-47 and lead here 77-63. Their biggest lead was 16 points here in the third period, and that's the story in game number 5. Dick Stockton and Tom Heinsohn at the Summit. Rockets trying to stay alive and send the series to Boston for game 6 on Sunday.
Well, the Celtics have to try and stay even with the Rockets, try to cut it to down below 10 points. The Rockets got to be on guard against slowing it down too much, which just that fast break off the made shows me that they're willing to keep running. But this man on the bench, very important how much he's going to be there. He's been running that break beautifully.
But the Celtics figure to make at least a couple of runs before this game is over. Rockets by 12 with 2:35 to go in the period. And a Celtic foul. Holding Danny Ainge, and that'll be his third personal foul. That's the third team foul against the Celtics. He'll have one to give before the penalty. Level in the backcourt with Wiggins. Weren't the two that started the game. Lloyd been taken out. Reed on the bench has played marvelously. Olajuwon knocked away by Bird. Level with the jumper. Short. Ainge ahead to Bird. And Larry Bird barely saves it. Goes for a three-point shot. Missed everything.
I think he got fouled on that one.
Level finding a way in and goes up with a shot.
When Level makes a commitment to shoot the ball instead of guessing whether to shoot or pass, he's very dangerous.
Under 2 minutes remaining in the third period. Rockets maintaining a 14-point lead here. McHale. Dennis Johnson, 4 seconds on the clock. Celtics struggling to try to get a decent shot off. That was not one. It was missed. Bird outfights McRae for the ball. Inside to McHale, blocked by Peterson. Loose ball, here's Level. Wiggins. And Bird comes back. Bird to McHale, and McHale's shot is blocked again by Peterson. Level in the corner, slows it up. Hakeem, goaltending against Walton. Olajuwon with 23 points now. Under a minute to play in the third period, 81-65.
The temperament of the crowd here, I think, helping to control this ball game.
Another turnover, the Rockets. And Olajuwon is fouled. Tommy, I want to ask you this. After after Sampson was tossed out of the ball game, which is a call definitely against the partisan crowd and against the Rockets. You mentioned something at the time. You said sometimes the officials can lean over backwards not to really offend the Rockets anymore. As Fitch calls for a 20-second timeout, do you feel that's happened?
I think right now they're just letting everybody go to town and bat and swing, and they're calling the cheap fouls. I think Bird got fouled in the corner on a three-point play, and they're calling little cheesy fouls when somebody's trying to dribble with the ball. Right now, I do not like what the officials are doing in this quarter, in this part of the game.
All right, Tommy, let's shift gears right now. This weekend, you'll see the final rounds of the Westchester Classic, Saturday at 3:30 Eastern Time. And we're going to show you the leaderboard. Jay Haas and Tom Sickman are 6 under par. Bill Israelson is -4 and 7 tied at -3. Greg Norman did not play. Tom Watson, Raymond Floyd, and defending champion is Roger Maltby. And our coverage begins with third round action Saturday at 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central and Pacific here on CBS, the Westchester Classic. They have come equipped with chants and posters of all kinds.
I'll tell you, the Rockets are deserving of their cheers. They have really played their hearts out here. If there was any question, if they had enough character to respond to the challenge of the Celtics in this game, it's been answered already.
Harris is in the ball game, 1 out of 2 for Elijah Wan, but there's Wiggins alertly getting the rebound. Remember what you said about losing the rebound after a missed free throw the other day. Unthinkable. Not a shooting foul. Larry Bird hit with a second. And that will be the 15th foul of the period for the Celtics, and will send Elijah Wan again to the free throw line. Greg Kite is coming into the ball game. He only played a minute in game 4. Picked up 5 personals in 7 minutes in game number 3. And he can bang and has played Elijah Wan pretty well in this brief time he's been in there.
Well, he's been one of the guys that really blocked Elijah Wan off the best, or any of the Rockets off the boards the best. We may see something in Greg Kite a little bit more as the Celtics lose this game in another ball game.
1 out of 2 for Elijah Wan, 83-65. 16 on the shot clock, 20 in the game clock. In the third period, Larry Bird misses. Elijah Wan clears. And they'll play for the last shot. This was not a Boston Celtic third period.
Now the Celtics have never had to come from a big margin behind.
3-point shot by Level. That's the end of the third period with the score. The Rockets 86, the Celtics 65. We'll return to the Summit after this word from your local station. Dick Stockton and Tom Heinsohn, let's review the game. After one period, the Celtics led 28-26. Kevin McHale scored 10. Then Ralph Sampson was tossed out of the game for fighting after having 12 points in the ball game, but Houston went on a tear in the second period, and then Jim Peterson off the bench, his backup, went on a tear off the boards. And in the third period, the Rockets outscored the Celtics 28-18, including the last 9 points of the session.
Dick, as a fan, as a believer, and I'll tell you, the Rockets are making me a believer of their character in this ball game. That's what this team may have a little. You may have a little question about their character, but not now.
Well, if you wanted to know if they had anything left in game number 5, you know that answer. Celtics trailing by 21. And a turnover. Ainge threw it in the hands of Elijah Wan. Hakeem is 25 to lead the Rockets. McHale and Bird each with 17 for the Celtics. Olajuwon over Parrish.
Everybody was out on an outside shooter. Olajuwon got a chance to work one-on-one.
And a foul by Peterson over McHale. Interesting that the Rockets, after Olajuwon was tossed out of 2 games in the playoffs, wound up winning. And with Sampson being ejected here, have gone on a tear and are leading here in the 4th period. Once again, the Celtics, a lot more turnovers than the Rockets. Parrish with Olajuwon defending, another rebound, another outlet to Wiggins. Going in is Wiggins. Basket. 16 for Mitchell Wiggins off the bench tonight.
We may have seen the end of Lewis Lloyd the way Wiggins has performed the last couple of games.
Ainge faking Level. Blocked by Olajuwon, and Level can't keep it inbound. Celtics get an easy 2. Actually, Level kept the ball inbounds for the Celtics. And there's Lewis Lloyd, who actually showed the best flashes of this series in the early moments of this series.
Wiggins has given it to him with great defense and rebounding.
90-67. McRae won't shoot against McHale. Level. Air ball. Seasting in the ball game with Ainge in the backcourt. Dennis Johnson getting a rest. Tight. Parrish and McHale up front. Seasting hits the jumper. He was a 58% shooter in the regular season. Larry Bird flexing and getting ready to come back in. And so is Robert Reed.
I'll tell you, this game has been the most effective defense on Larry Bird the entire series.
McRae, who's done a lot of it, hits the jumper to give himself 15. McHale low against Peterson over the outstretched hand of Olajuwon. Level pushing it in and will draw the foul. The Rockets pushing the ball up in a sustaining manner more than any other game this series.
There is no question about that, Dick, and it's been a big factor.
Here's our story in the 4th period. The Rockets are leading by 21, and if they hold that big lead, they will go to Boston. Game 6, Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern time, where the Celtics thrash the Rockets in the first 2 games of the series. And Tommy, if they go to a Game 6 where the Rockets had a lot of trouble in the first 2 games, how do you think the Celtics are going to respond to that game?
Well, I'll tell you, knowing the Boston crowd after being up there for so many years, they're going to be even louder than the Summit crowd here. The Celtics are going to, if they lose tonight, are going to take this loss and they're going to say, we are going to play mighty, tough basketball. That's what you know the Celtics will do at the Garden. Now we know the Rockets can do it here in Houston.
You think the term "take no prisoners" may fit what the Celtics want to do if this series goes to 6? Olajuwon, 29 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 blocked shots. With Sampson out of there, he's had to do it all, and he's done it. Minutes, 10 seconds to go in the 4th. Seasting hits the jumper. Familiar play, getting him free. 3 minutes gone by here, 4th period. Peterson over McHale. Peterson has 6.
Has he filled in for Ralph Sampson? You bet he has.
The 11 rebounds for Peterson as well. Blocked by Olajuwon. McHale was looking for a goaltend. It'll be Boston ball.
Well, Olajuwon right now is teeing off on anything that goes to the low post. He has no regard for Walton hitting the glass on the misses. He's back, Dick, to the defense he was playing in the Lakers series.
McHale with a fall-away shot. And Hakeem is playing his most inspired game since the opening game of this series when he scored 33. In that Lakers series, he had 40 points in one game. Level, not a good pass to Peterson. Puts up the shot, and we'll have the foul. loose ball foul against the Rockets. And it's against Hakeem Olajuwon. That'll be his third personal foul. If you joined us late, Ralph Sampson was thrown out of the game for punching Jerry Seasting with 9 minutes to go in the first half after scoring 12 points, and it ignited the Rockets. McHale will go to the line. He's fouled.
I'll tell you, Peterson is really working McHale over for the low post position, making him go out about 2 feet further out than McHale likes to go out. And then when McHale receives the ball, he's backing off and not taking the spin moves away from McHale. So they've been forcing him to shoot more fallaways than any one game this playoff round.
Peterson's foul is his 4th of the ball game. McHale with 25 points. He is the Celtics' leading scorer. Larry Bird is next with 17. Peterson drives Seasting into a pick. 9 on the shot clock. McCray into Olajuwon. And they're going to jump it. Jump ball as the Celtics tie up Hakeem.
Well, Jerry Seasting is running into those big guys. Look at Peterson. I mean, you got to let a little guy like Seasting know that a big body like that is there.
They're going to do it again. Jump again. 7:53 on the clock. That's what Olajuwon has done. Reed. 11 points.
I will tell you, the Rockets are so loose right now. Wow.
It's a different game when you're ahead.
And the Celtics really do not have the style of play, the speed to come back in an explosive way. They've been doing it on defense. And when the Rockets get that speed going, there's no way they can play a lot of defense.
Dennis Johnson hitting from outside. He's in double figures with 11 points. All of the Celtics starters are in doubles with the exception of Robert Parrish, who has scored 4. 1 for 8 from the field for Parrish. Rocket turnover. Dennis Johnson going to the hoop. And he's fouled. Alan Level defending him there. .7:16 remaining, and it's 98-79. Mitchell Wiggins returns to the game.
You cannot say enough about Mitchell Wiggins. That 16 points you see there is off the flow of the game. They haven't really gone to him. He has done it with good running on the fast break, offensive rebounds, and coming off a pick now and then.
You know, I asked him the other day, I said, you know, you played for Chicago, now you're in the playoffs, people around the country are seeing you play for the first time. What do you feel now? He says, I feel I belong.
Well, that's the way Bill Fitch can make you feel sometimes, and if you play as hard as Wiggins, he's going to play a lot for Bill Fitch.
17-point lead for the Rockets. There's the time remaining in the 4th period. Reed with 15 assists in the game, guarded by Seasting. Walton trying to deny Olajuwon. Hakeem finds McCray. Open man is Reed, and a 3-second violation is called against the Rockets. And Bill Fitch off the bench waving his towel and is told by Hugh Evans to get back. Close to getting a technical.
You're going to look at Bill Fitch here right now, and you got to grade him for points. You know, tie up to the top is 1 point. It would have been 5 if it was loosened, and he didn't release the towel all the way, so he only gets 2 points for that. If he'd thrown the towel in the air, that's a bona fide 10 according to the coach's handbook. And I know.
Now, you would have done all those things. Tell me about the time you threw a towel into the stand.
I caught my shoe.
I love this one.
And went 20 rows up into the crowd with the towel hanging from the end like it had a streamer.
What about when you threw your jacket on the court? Tell them that.
I lost my credit cards.
Just some of the things that happened to Coach Heinsohn in his time, along with winning 2 world titles. 98-81, Houston. after the timeout. Bird into McHale. Nifty passing by the Celtics front line, and it's 98-83. There's enough time in this game for the Celtics to make a move.
Crucial time now. Rockets have to come down and get a good shot every time. That might mean Olajuwon.
Wiggins going to McCray. Walton the rebound, and Olajuwon knocks it away, but it's still Celtics ball. The shooting story.
You know, you put about 3 decent defensive stands now, the Rockets, against the Celtics. That's as important as offense.
And we'll have a Houston foul, and that will be the Rockets' 5th team foul, and that will be penalty. And the Celtics will go to the line with Walton. Keep in mind that the Celtics have the ability to make up big margins. If Larry Bird gets going on those 3-pointers, you can get a bundle of them.
Right now, there's a dilemma for Bill Fitch. Should we keep the pace of the game up, or should we try to work the clock down?
4 fouls on Reed. What would you do?
I'd try to push it up, take advantage of any fast break, a good situation that presents itself, and if it's not there, a good selection of shot, pull it back out and get it to Akeem.
The other night, when the Rockets played half-court offense, they turned the ball over more than when they ran.
And they're bringing it up slow now.
Peterson setting a screen for McCray. Under 6 minutes to go in the 4th period. Olajuwon tries to draw the foul, and he does.
He is getting excellent position against Bill Walton, practically right underneath the basket.
Foul is on Walton. That's number 5 on Bill. He has played more than Robert Parrish in this game. Parrish has scored 4 points, and Olajuwon misses at the line.
You know the difference between Walton and Parrish, Dick, in guarding the low post, is Parrish has got the legs, the younger legs, to try to push Akeem out. Walton, with those bad knees and bad feet, quite doesn't have that pushing power to ward off a younger player like Olajuwon.
Rockets had a 25-point lead at one time. It's a 14-point margin now, and Walton missing in the lane. Peterson, another rebound, and a Celtic foul. That'll be against Bird, his 3rd. Here's the foul trouble. Walton within 1 of fouling out. He stays in the game. K.C. Jones going with him. McCray to Akeem. Didn't have control when he went up with the shot. And it'll be Celtics ball out of bounds. K.C. Jones, who lost to the Lakers last year, won the title the year before, hoping his team could wrap it up in 5.
Celtics right now went to Walton the last trip up the court. It should be either going to Bird or McHale.
McHale knocked away. It was Peterson and Wiggins combining there. Robert Reed. McCray. They go to Olajuwon, who has the shot knocked away by Walton. Fine defense by Bill Walton. 3-on-1 break, and they're going to call the offensive foul against Dennis Johnson.
That was an awful call. That was a terrible call. The man never had his feet planted.
That's 5. Let's see it again, Tommy.
Here he comes, Dennis Johnson. He's retreating all the way, never had his feet planted. He's got to stand there. He moved his feet.
You're getting really exasperated here over this,
I think
aren't
this is
you?
a terribly officiated game.
Wiggins going in. Blocked by Walton. McHale, 3-on-2 break. Ceaston. And Dennis Johnson. Wiggins fighting Bird. It'll be the Rockets' ball. K.C. Jones, I think, feels the way you do, Tommy.
You know, it's not just one way either. Well, people might interpret that. It's both ways. There's a lot of banging going on, and they're not calling it. I'm surprised another fight hasn't broken out.
Score has been stalled on 99-85 for over a minute now. Reed going in. Scoops it. Hakeem. No basket. He traveled. And that was a good call.
Well,
look at that story.
Well, that's the story of the game. And Peterson and Ralph Sampson, when he was in there, and particularly Wiggins, the weak side rebounders, as they try to double and triple team Olajuwon, they made it pay. The Celtics pay for it.
Olajuwon blocked McHale. Celtics still have it. Three-point attempt by Dennis Johnson misses, and here's Wiggins. Ahead of the field, Reed to McCray. Well, the Rockets survive in Houston. They're going to go on to game number 6 in Boston, and here's the crowd. The score at the time was Rockets 34, Celtics 33, and Tommy, that spurred on the Houston Rockets, who then moved ahead by as much as 25 points, and they're winning going away here in game number 5.
I'll tell you, Dick, the Rockets responded like a champion should respond. The question of a young team is always, how much will they scrap for the title? They've got the physical talent. Now they've got the character. To me, this team is going to be awesome.
And Casey Jones already is playing for game 6. David Thirdkill, Sam Vincent, Greg Kite are all in the ball game now. Blocked by Olajuwon. Wiggins ahead of the field. And it's going to be Celtics ball. Hakeem with 8 blocked shots. He has scored 30 points and 14 rebounds tonight.
I'll tell you, Peterson, Wiggins, Olajuwon have just been so fantastic. And McCray, in his own quiet way, playing defense against Bird. And I think it was the best defense of the whole series against Bird.
I'll tell you what, you know the Boston Celtics and that man behind Larry Bird, who has scored 17 points tonight, are going to come out with a vengeance, I believe, in game number 6. I think the Rockets have to be prepared to play way above their heads in that game.
Well, they have to play at the tempo and the intensity level that they showed here in this game, and that's where the Celtics usually are in the Boston Garden.
Vincent going in with the layup. Of course, you never want to see a major player in a series and in a game thrown out in an altercation with what we'll call a lesser player as far as value to his team. That's what happened in this one, and it spurred on the Rockets. Somehow you got to think there must be a better way. One thing we know is that the likes of Sampson and Olajuwon have to learn to control their tempers. Both of them have been tossed out in these playoffs for fighting and pushing and what have you. McHale getting 2 for the Celtics. It's 103 to 89. Under 2 minutes to go.
And Robert Reed with the ball has been an inspirational spark in getting them started in the first quarter until the altercation. He was the guy that provided the lift.
Here's Steve Harris, the rookie from Tulsa, coming in. Going out will be Wiggins. He should get a big hand for his play. 16 points. Tommy, you said at the outset of the series that with Wedman hurt, and by the way, Wedman could come back in game number 6 in Boston with his ribs. He's been working out. Basket for Olajuwon is 32. How is the speed of the Rockets affecting the Celtics with their veterans as the series moves on to 6 games?
Well, you know, it happened to them last year against the Lakers. I think that was a big factor without the bench really being productive. The speed of the Lakers wore the Celtic down. However, we're going to have a couple of days off before game 6. We only had a day off before game 6 last year.
Olajuwon goes out of the game. He had to pick up the slack, and he did. Larry Bird just sits and watches. But you know, somehow, some way, he seems to get the last word. Olajuwon goes out with 32 points and 14 rebounds. And his 8 block shots ties Bill Walton's NBA record set 9 years ago tonight against Philadelphia in a game in which Walton and the Blazers won the title.
But each succeeding game in this series, he's becoming more familiar with that double and triple teaming defense that the Celtics have been throwing at him.
Off the hands of Granville Waiters. Reed and McCray remain in along with Peterson, and Sam Vincent gets his second shot. Sam Vincent with 4 points. Under a minute to play. The Rockets have accomplished what they set out to do, Tommy.
They sure did. And I knew they were going to be troublesome because they've got that great physical skill.
There's Akeem with a banner performance tonight. Robert Reed goes out. What has he meant to the team tonight besides 17 assists?
Well, he gave them the spirit while they were trying to find their identity in the first quarter. The veteran, the experience, he gave it to them. The fight with Sampson ignited the tempers of the Rockets, gave them the additional adrenaline, pumped them up to a win. But that man, Robert Reed, got them off and going early.
You saw Dennis Johnson, who was cut behind the left eye, the left of the eye, with one of Ralph Sampson's punches. Half a minute remaining. Granville Waiters gets the bucket and a feed from McCray. Craig Elo, number 3, is in. Rick Carlisle for the Celtics. Harris blocks Vincent. They were picked 19 and 20 in this year's draft.
Harris is supposed to be the better shooter, Vincent the better penetrator, but Bill Fitch is hoping that Harris will provide it all.
But the emotion is taken over here in the final seconds. McHale scores. And it's going to be interesting for Ralph Sampson, who didn't play most of this game, to go back to Boston Garden. Elo gets the basket and is fouled. Ralph Sampson will go back to Boston Garden where things have been tough for him.
Well, and there certainly won't be a friendly crowd for anybody that goes into the Boston Garden when there's been a fight. So he's going to have to control his emotions once again and not get frustrated. But his absence down here at the Summit, I think, got his team really sky high. So he, in a way, contributed to the win.
Waiters gets the basket. 1 second to go. And the game is over. The last home game of the season at the Summit, and the Rockets gave their fans something to cheer about. They did what they set out to do. They defeated the Boston Celtics to extend the NBA Finals to a 6th game. And that will be Sunday, 1 o'clock in Boston. It'll be a different crowd, a different scene, but the Rockets now trail 3 games to 2, and they showed up indeed, Tommy.
Dick, there was no question that the Rockets got the job done and then some.
111-96 the final score. Right now, let's go up to Brent Musburger. Brent?
All right, Dick and Dave Cowens, this has suddenly become a much better series than we expected after the first 2 games. Let me point something out. This is the second year that we've had a 2-3-2 format, much like the World Series, and both years we've hit the 6th game, and that's one of the reasons why the league liked this format. Now, Dave, we're going into the Boston Garden. No one has experienced any more of those steamy moments than Dave Cowens. What will it be like in there Sunday for the Rockets of the Celtics?
Let me tell you, the city will be ready. The Boston Garden fans, the Boston Celtic fans will be ready. The Celtics will be ready, and they better be, because the Rockets are not going down easy.
You know, I agree with what Dave just said. The Rockets aren't going down easy. One of the things that's happened in this series is that suddenly their bench has taken on an identity. Peterson, Wiggins, and Level, they've contributed. We're going to continue live from the Summit in Houston, Texas in just a moment. Well, the crowd slowly leaving.